She's conservative and I'm liberal, and yet we've been friends for almost 40 years. Everyone says you shouldn't talk about politics, religion, or money. And we say that's exactly what friends should talk about. Join us as we tackle the conversations you've been having in your head, but are afraid to say out loud. Hi, Jolene.
Oh, that was beautiful.
And today's topic is wealth inequality. Our amazing producer, Brianna, she had us look at originally a snip of Scott Galloway. The idea was to give our gut reactions to this snippet. And then she sent us a full episode I was able to watch and Jolene was not able to watch.
This first 100 days of the Trump administration will go down in history as the greatest grift in the history of our economy in terms of the amount of money stolen and the size of it over the shortest period. Just some data here. Trump-affiliated entities have made at least $300 million in trading fees. The Trump family's net worth has increased by $3 billion or $1 billion a month since he took office. Just some timeline. The Trump coin launched on a Friday night under cover of dark with all the news about the inauguration. By 3 a.m. on Sunday, it was valued at more than $70 billion, and there were a small number of investors who made large investments on a Friday. Maybe they got a tip or something. They made tens, if not hundreds of millions. And then over the course of the next couple weeks, about 800,000 smaller investors lost billions. This market manipulation, this what would technically be called insider trading by the SEC, we'll never know because on April 8th, Trump's deputy attorney general ordered the DOJ's crypto fraud investigation arm to disband. Trump posted on Truth Social, "This is a great time to buy Donald Trump media at 9:37 a.m. Between 1 and 1:10 p.m., there was a huge increase in bullish zero-day S&P 500 call options. And then just 8 minutes later, Trump announced a 90-day pause on all of his tariffs, and the market soared almost 10%, one of the biggest one-day gains in history. So someone knew what was going on.
Of course they do. He calls them.
That's called insider trading. The market gained $4 trillion while Trump media closed up 23%, increased his net worth by $415 million. On April 23rd, Trump announced that the top holders of the Trump coin would win an exclusive dinner with him, and the coin surged over 60%. Just 58 wallets made more than $10 million apiece, totaling approximately $1.1 billion in gains. Meanwhile, 800,000 wallets of mostly smaller holders have lost money on their Trump coin. And it gets worse. Now the kids went on it. World Liberty Financial, a crypto firm run by Trump's sons, Eric and Don Jr., and they are entitled to 75% of its revenue. And now it's being leveraged to facilitate pardons for criminals. Justin's son, a crypto billionaire, was under SEC investigation for securities fraud after investing $75 million in World Liberty Financial. Guess what, Kara? The SEC dismissed his case. This is what fucking infuriates me. I'm a realpolitik guy. I don't mind a little bit of corruption as long as it's good for all Americans. I don't mind a little bit of strong arming. But here's the problem, or the tragedy. If Trump brought half the competence, expertise, and elegance to governance as he does to grifting, the country would be in a much better place. We have a mob family running the country. That's the bad news. The worst thing is that Michael Corleone is managing the crime, and Fredo is managing the government. You are so good at stealing. Can you bring some of that elegance, that expertise to the government?
Jolene, what was your gut reaction to this snippet?
So my gut reaction to that is, number one, aren't there rules in place? Like, why do we have rules in place
I mean, there are rules in place, but they're not, he doesn't seem to be following them. He created this meme coin right before the inauguration. And it turns out that there were 31 early traders. They made $669 million. There's also 800,000 investors that lost $2 billion. And that the family collects fees for every single trade. And in January alone, they made $100 million just off the fees. And in the full episode, they talked about how there's a rule that they held it for 3 months, that you're not allowed to sell that coin, that your meme stock, for 3 months. And right before it was going to be unlocked, as they call it, it's a locked down, that was going to be unlocked, Trump put out a press release that the top 220 meme coin investors would get to sit down with him. And at the exact same time that the stockholders unlocked and were able to sell, the stock went up 60%.
Because everybody was buying it.
Correct. Everybody wanted to be the top 220 to sit down with him. I mean, all of this to me sounds so crazy. I'd love to hear what you think. How was he allowed to do this? What was your reaction when you saw that snippet and you saw that this guy who, as you looked up yesterday, he's left of center right? What is he?
Or right of center left, yes.
Oh, I got it completely opposite. Right of center
it could have
left.
been, it was either one of those, yeah. It was
and
one of those.
So, like, did you think, oh, this guy's full of shit? Or you're like, I didn't know this? Or...
Right. I had not heard any of this, didn't know about the meme coin. So, no, was not aware of any of that. I mean, I'd heard about the meme coin. Doesn't Melania have one too? I mean...
Oh, yeah.
But I don't know enough about that.
Did you find it disturbing? Concerning?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. If that in fact is true, and they're benefiting off of that, but that is, well, I mean, it's the same as Hunter Biden benefiting from his dad being, why was Hunter Biden put on a board for a company that he had no business being a part of?
That's funny that you say that, Jolene, because you only saw the snippet. I saw the full episode, and they brought that up. They were like, people are upset about the Hunter Biden thing. This is crazy. I find it fascinating. I'm surprised that the Democrats/liberals, and he says this too in the full episode, shocked that we're not talking about this all the time. And even in regards to, okay, you're upset about Hunter, like, look at this, like, and not a tit for tat, but more like, hey, everybody, this is an issue. The fact that, like, they were also saying that there are 19 families that own 1.8% of all the wealth in the United States, and that these 19 families last year made $1 trillion.
Do you think 1% of the wealth is a lot or not very much?
I think it's a lot. I mean, they were saying that it's the middle class is starting to die, and that you have this, but you also have this, like, they called it a super class. Like, their wealth is so beyond, and then you have this the lower class is getting bigger and bigger and bigger, or the working class. I don't like the word lower class. What they were saying is, like, it's not helpful to our economy, number one. When you have this teeny tiny amount of people who not only run everything, but might not care about our healthcare systems or infrastructure, because they can always peace out. They can move, they can...
Okay, but why are we talking about 1% of the population? I
mean, but the middle class is dying, is what their argument is. And that this 1% is controlling, or 1.81%, who are 19 families. It's not very many people that have a ton of wealth.
I don't agree. I mean, I think if there are 99% of Americans are not them, right? I mean, so you're talking about 1% of the people. So that doesn't, like, that makes sense to me, that 19 families could be 1% of the wealth. Okay.
It's almost 2% of the wealth. And 50% of our country makes only 3%. I mean, maybe we should get off the numbers. I'm just thinking about how there seems to be a worshiping of wealth in this country, a worshiping of celebrity, an like Trump in a way, and Elon Musk. We have idolized them. all our social media feeds are about material things, and people are wanting, craving, envious, striving towards, and then but the gap is getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And it seems that the rules and the laws only apply to us and don't really apply to the super class, let's call them.
Okay, so I feel like there's two different issues here. I feel like we've got if you want to talk about wealth in America and poverty in America, and then you're also talking about Congress and our leaders and our lawmakers benefiting from their position. Because I came upon a website called Quiver Quantitative, and it has a tab that is Congress Trading Dashboard. The Stock Trading and Congressional Knowledge Act requires U.S. senators and representatives to publicly file and disclose any financial transaction within 45 days of its occurrence. We download these disclosures, parse them for stock trades, fetch the stock's performance in the time following the transaction, and calculate each politician's cumulative return for their trades. What I found was super interesting because the most active congressional traders last year, number one was Josh Gottheimer. He's a Democrat in the House. He had 599 trades last year for an estimated trade volume of $75 million. That's incredible to me. Number two was Nancy Pelosi for $36.8 million.
Well, that's what the full episode talked about, that Scott Galloway called them like the Diet Coke trades, and that yes, that the corruption is happening on the left as well, but that in his opinion, that what Trump is doing is, he's like, well, he's going big. Like, he acknowledges that Nancy Pelosi does it, and clearly this guy, but this is sort of next level. I am not suggesting that the left is clean.
Immune from this. Yeah.
No.
Well,
I'm not.
I guess so. Right.
But I'm
so
like, this is out of control. Would you
Right.
agree that this is out of control?
I would say it's out of control for all of them. I mean, if
Are
yeah,
you
I
concerned
don't
about
understand.
Are you concerned what Trump is doing? You can pay to see him. Here's the thing, Jolene. Another thing that he mentioned in this long episode, and this was just his idea, but he said, not all the top 220 are going to go and visit Trump. That some of them will not admit because they want geopolitical favor.
Right.
Like, it's not just about his fan base fanning out at Mar-a-Lago. It's maybe Putin, maybe whomever. I'm just talking.
Yeah.
Like, I bought your coin. I made you $1 billion. So what are you going to do for me?
Right. No,
And
I
like,
think
Trump
that's-
is like legitimately rich now. Like, he wasn't before. He really wasn't.
Oh,
Like,
come
back
on.
I swear, if you lived in New York, you knew his like shady, weird, like, sometimes he was rich, sometimes he was smoking mirrors, and now he's legitimately rich. And this is the thing, Jolene, talk to me about this. Why do these people need this much money? What are they going to do with it?
generational wealth. Set up their grandkids and their great-grandkids for life.
There's not enough. They could do that with a fraction of this. Like, and I just feel like, why, if
But
he
who's
has,
to say enough is enough? I mean, if you're not hurting anybody,
but he is hurting. This is the
who are
presidency.
you hurting?
Us.
Who are you hurting? How?
Because he is busy making deals and not taking care of us.
Oh, I think he can walk and chew gum at the same time.
So you're not upset that he's
No, I am
doing this?
I'm
Okay.
playing. I'm playing
you're-
devil's advocate here.
Okay.
No, if he's benefiting, I don't think any of our of our congressional leaders, congressional members,
Yes.
or the president should benefit from their position. And so I would, because like you said, I mean, that was the concern with Hunter Biden, is if he's granting favors to the Chinese and they're buying his, stupid painting for millions of dollars that he did, and you're going, I don't think that was worth $2 million. But what was he really getting for that? Or what was Chinese really getting for hey, we paid $2 million for this little painting?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Right,
like, no idea.
I will send that to you.
Well, tell me, what is it? Because
So
you're
he
getting
did a-
you're getting a
he did a
narrative
painting.
that I never got. He did a
He
painting?
did.
You mean he painted a painting? Is he a painter?
Correct. Nope. No, he is not. His paintings were being exhibited in a fancy New York gallery and selling for large sums. Kevin Morris, a Hollywood lawyer and friend of Biden, reportedly bought 11 works for a total of $875,000. Somebody else, a Democratic donor, bought 2 for $42,000 and $52,000. He sold $1.5 million.
$42,000 for a painting.
$42,000 and $52,000. All in all, Hunter sold the art for about $1.5 million between 21 and 24. Not too shabby for an amateur.
What is the resource that you're reading from?
The Guardian.
Okay. And he's not a painter.
I don't think he's. And now you can get it off of eBay for $10. So I don't know if that means anything. So, I mean, isn't that the point? That obviously that
there's
makes
corruption
you very
everywhere.
susceptible. And it makes you very susceptible to somebody wanting to give you money for an ulterior motive. Right? And there should be.
Makes you, you mean a person in politics very susceptible?
Correct.
Yeah.
Trump.
Well, Trump makes
Nancy
his own
Pelosi.
way. Yeah.
I mean, so I think.
But don't you think the president should be
held in the same
like-
regard as everybody else?
Yeah,
in
I mean,
the
yes.
Congress.
Yes. Yes. Okay, we agree on that.
Totally agree.
Totally agree. Okay, good.
So,
Do you think, Jolene, that other friends of yours in conservative world also agree with this?
I would think anyone who had an ethical code of honor would see a conflict of interest when you're selling a good or service to someone for access to you.
Well,
yeah,
he's
I think
using
that's a
the
problem.
presidency as like the greatest marketing tool there is.
So, do
you find that there are other people in your world that feel similar to you?
We've not had this conversation with anybody,
Yeah.
but I would think if he were giving that money to a charity, or if he were giving that money to back to the government, would it be okay?
I don't think it's okay. I mean, I want him totally divested. I want him to just be the president. I want him to do the job of being a president, helping the people, because we elected him to help the people, and then to move on. That's what I want. That's not what we got. We got a reality TV star that loves attention, that sometimes makes good deals. I will give you that. It's all about reaction. He doesn't care if it's negative or positive. And he is using his name and his position to make extreme wealth.
I would disagree with you that he does it for fame and fortune. I think he does it because he wants to be successful. And I think this is a mark of success. Him reaching this deal with the Saudis today, China over the weekend, the UK last week. I think these are signs of success to him.
To him,
but signs of success for Americans. I mean,
but
US
he created
is the winner
this issue.
here.
He created this issue, just like he was like, "Oh, that's a bad deal last time," and he created complete havoc. He could have done it in a way, I think we agree with this, that didn't have to like completely rock the small business owners and the world. He could have done it like going from 145% to 10% when you and I knew, and I think a lot of people knew, that he was doing his wheeling and dealing.
Great.
And he
so it's the
wasn't
art of the deal. And he was successful.
he's-
In the end, he's successful.
I
Right?
disagree.
I mean, everyone
I
sees this
disagree.
as success today.
No. Everyone does not. Because they're just seeing that he's trying to work the system. So many people got hurt during this time of the yanking around. I mean, you were very lucky and smart to be a small business person and have all your stuff made in America, but a lot of people don't. Apple got excused, which is complete bullshit. They're the ones that could sorry, Linda, could totally afford it. But these small business owners that were like, oh, I have this idea of a baby bib, and okay, it's made in China, and then they're screwed. I doubt they've survived for his 10%. He's just treating, as Elon, that our country is a corporation. And our country isn't a corporation. It is a place filled with millions of people who have their own dreams.
And I think that the debt and the deficit that we're in was killing a lot of dreams, and that something had to have been done about it.
I agree with you.
We couldn't continue on the same path.
I agree with you.
Was it radical? Was it haphazard? But in the end, if it's successful and it puts our country back on a path that makes us generationally successful, we had to have done something. And the way that Biden, was taking us, and if Kamala would have won, oh my gosh, I'm not sure that we would have survived. So here we are. And whether we agree with the way that he's doing it or not, at the end, we have to be hopeful that at the end that he's successful.
I'm finding this totally frustrating.
Why?
Because I don't want the government to have trillions of dollars in debt either. And in his first administration, he spent a ton of money.
Yep.
Right? And you would say that, right? And
yep.
Biden spent even more. And there needs to be healing.
Well, it needs to be fixed, first of all.
It needs to be fixed.
And then there can be healing, right? I mean, you've got to fix the problem first.
Yeah, but I don't think that they're fixing it well. It's just a lot of show. I watched that Fox News interview with Brett Baer that you sent me, and some of it I found interesting. I thought he asked some interesting questions, but I thought Elon weaved and bobbed. I don't believe in one word out of that man's mouth. There were other people on the panel. I appreciated their answers. The talking point that resonated for me over and over again in that interview, which I found that we could both agree on, or that you, the listener, could possibly, if you're a conservative or liberal, could agree on, was that they kept talking about over and over again that the government has all of these operating systems that don't talk to each other.
Yeah.
And just that to me was like, wow, I didn't know that. And that then because of that, so much duplication happens. They literally don't talk to each other. And so this agency doesn't know what this agency is doing. And then also the mine, which I didn't know that there was a mine in Pennsylvania that has all of the government papers. And that one of the reasons it's so difficult to retire from the government is that they have to deal with the papers, literal papers that go into the mine, and they've been sorting them and trying to digitize them, and they've been doing that using this system for over 50 years.
Okay, wait. Let me stop you. Is that the first time you've heard about the mine?
Yes.
Was in this interview?
Yes.
God, see, again, this blows my mind.
And you,
and
in Fox, you have.
Yes. This is something that they have talked about so much. Why isn't that being talked about universally?
I don't know.
This is such the problem. This is the problem. This is the problem that you and I have identified so many times, that your media gives you one story, my media gives me another, and when you and I talk, I'm like, hell, I never heard that before.
Right, and most of the time I don't know what you're talking about either. But I'm not mad at you. Like, I want to know,
right?
I want to know why. I am very concerned that our country, and I've felt this way for years, and it's more than ever, that we are like the robber baron era. It was obviously before our time, but where there were monopolies, and, a couple people own the railroads and the utilities, and like the Rockefeller age, where and then you had incredibly impoverished people. And we are seeing more and more encampments, very, very sick people on the streets.
You're referring to homeless people. When you say encampments.
I'm referring to homeless people, or in the liberal media they say unhoused. Some of them are very ill, mentally ill.
Yeah.
And then you just have a lot of people in this country that are hungry. They might be housed, but they might be hungry, or they're on SNAP. Because what I'm finding it quite obscene that you have this, like, 19 families that own 1.81% of the wealth in this country, and you have so many people on the streets, you have so many hungry kids. And I'm not even talking about the immigrant situation, just legal Americans that are struggling at the grocery store, that they have to choose between this item and this item because they don't have the money. Is that a liberal thing that I'm worried about?
I feel like it's a liberal thing when you're trying to compare the ultra rich to the people that are on food stamps, because I think it's two different issues. I don't think that you can say those people that make the 19 families that make up 1.8% of the wealth in the United States why is that a bad thing?
But Jolene, and we've talked about this, like Warren Buffett will say how like his secretary gets taxed more than he does. Like
because
that
of corporate
to me,
tax structure. Yep.
Correct. And that's where I'm like, come on.
Right.
Come on. Is that a liberal thing?
So that is a tax issue that absolutely should be addressed. Why isn't Congress writing new tax laws?
Do you feel that way? You feel that way too?
Yep, 100%. Why is it that the corporate tax laws are written to where if you own a corporation that you're able to have tax write-offs that...
You can be creative.
Right. Well, and it could also just be, it's legal. So, it's not like you're, hiding money in a bank somewhere in
a
Switzerland.
Mm-hmm.
Right. That's what the laws have allowed. And then if you're a secretary making an annual or an hourly wage, you're taxed, it's very simple. You're taxed at 15% or 28% or 35%, whatever your tax bracket is. And you don't have the write-offs and the deductions that are afforded to people that are running businesses. So, when you look at it in that context, is it fair? No, but is there also, do we need to go to just a flat tax? Do we need to go to a sales tax? And so then you're only taxed on the things that you're buying, not on the wealth that you're making. There's so many theories behind what is the right tax that is more equal.
I feel like the current Republican Party, that if they're in power, they're going to finagle the tax codes to keep themselves as rich as possible. Do you think it's possible to have a conservative president that would actually create a tax code that would benefit everyone?
Yes, I think it is possible. Yes, I don't think that Trump is this. I feel like it's so easy to say that Trump is just in it for himself. You look at all the things that he's doing in the trade talks and the success that he's had and up to this point, and I really have a hard time saying that it's not to benefit the America as a whole. So yes, we started this conversation on the Trump meme coin, and yes, I have a real problem with that.
And his family they're all making millions of dollars on the trades.
Yes, and just as the Biden family made money, and just as Nancy Pelosi's family is making money, it's all dirty. I think there's a blanket statement here that we both would agree that when you're in power making the laws, that you can't benefit from financially benefit. Right. Wouldn't we would both agree with that?
Yes, we would both agree with that. Do you think other conservatives feel that way too?
Yes, I think that is a universal I would have a hard time listening to anybody who would justify otherwise.
So then why aren't we all like, what are you doing, dude? Why
Because
aren't
I
we
don't think
all
people
like
are
in the
aware of it.
streets?
You and I weren't aware of it until Brianna told us to watch this interview, right? She's from friggin' Australia. She knew
Yes.
about this, and she watched this, and you and I didn't. So
No, that's true. That's true.
And I didn't even know this Quiver
And I've
quantitative
never watched and read
website
more-
even existed. I'm telling you, you got to look at this. They follow these trades in real time. You can see who is selling their Apple stock. Sheldon Whitehouse, a Democratic senator, is
I like
selling
that guy.
his Apple stock right now.
Stop. For real?
Yes.
Okay, what
Yes.
about the Republicans? Name out a Republican selling something.
No, there's plenty of Republicans too. I'm just looking at this is the top.
yeah.
Hold on.
Shout out to a Republican. What are they selling?
Adobe. Here is Mark Wayne Mullen. He's a Republican senator. He is selling his Adobe stock right now and his Applied Materials stock. He made 15% off of his Applied Materials. He lost 1% on Adobe.
That's crazy, Jolene.
This is
That's
absolutely
crazy. All right,
Quiver-
we'll put it in the show notes.
It's quiverquant.com. Congress Trading.
This is a very basic question. Do you feel that there's wealth inequality in this country?
If by inequality there's super rich and super poor, yeah. Have we made a system that incentivizes people to not work? Yeah. If that's the lower 50%, you and I talked about this, and I couldn't find my notes, but you and I talked about this on an earlier podcast, that I think middle class is considered anybody who makes $170,000 and less. The top 10% is anybody who makes over $175,000 a year. The 1% is anybody who makes over $750,000 a year. That's the top 1% of the earners in the United States.
So you're suggesting that the reason people are impoverished is because they're incentivized to be impoverished?
No, that is not the reason why they're
Okay.
impoverished. I would not say that. I would say that since the 30s, we have had so many good social programs that were developed to help people so that we never get into the situation that we were in during the Depression. And we didn't have the social services and the safeguards for people who truly are down on their luck. And I think we've got so many, again, this is why America is the greatest nation in the world, because you have the opportunity to make as much money as you want, and we have an opportunity to help you out when you're down on your luck. I think there is a real problem with homeless and mental illness. I wish that was, I don't know of anybody that would disagree that that is a real problem. And if we could solve that, if we could help, if there were programs that could help that part of society, I mean, we all
But you were
know
talking about the
people
social
that were-
programs, like in the 30s, that where they I mean, it was FDR, right? So are you suggesting that there should be a revamp on these social programs? Are you happy with the social programs? Do you think people take advantage of the social programs?
Yes, people take advantage of the social program. I think we've got great programs. Do they need to be revamped along with this fraud, waste, and abuse? Absolutely.
I watched the Daily yesterday, I listened to the Daily podcast yesterday, and it was talking about China and how actually they're having a really hard time and their economy is suffering greatly because in their culture that they were investing in real estate, and they are a exporting nation. They do not consume. This reporter was saying that they save 40% of their paycheck, like consistently, and we save like 2, like maybe. And that the Chinese government, though it's called communist, they have and they said that they have very little social padding for them, a social safety net for them. And so they are completely struggling and panicked because they have nothing to fall back on. And the reason that the Chinese do it is to encourage them to work, which I was like, that doesn't sound very communist, first of all. And second of all, I wonder what Jolene thinks about, because you have mentioned, that there are people that take advantage of the system, and the Elon Musk interview talked about just how much fraud there was trying to get Social Security checks. And
Okay, so I was at a trade show this last week. It's called NAMA, National Automatic Merchandisers Association. So it's vending. So
Okay.
not just vending machines, but like vending micro markets that would be in an office setting or an industrial setting or campuses, or the little shops in front of a hotel. I mean, so that all of those kind of unattended retail places. We know there a really big blind population walking through this show, and I couldn't figure it out. And so finally, as we talked to this one guy walking through, he was with his wife, and she was kind of guiding him. And he was so funny. They were from San Diego, and he goes, "Well, aren't you curious as to why all these blind people are here at this show?" And I go, "Well, now that you mention it, yes, I am. I just didn't have an opportunity to ask somebody, why are so many blind people here?" And he said, back in 1936, Congress developed the Randolph-Shepherd Act, which was intended for blind people, for the government to provide capital outlay for blind people to provide vending services and fulfill government contracts. So like this couple I'm talking to, they do the San Diego Naval Base. Any vending machine, any little micro markets, all of these government and any governmental buildings in the San Diego area, they do a majority of it because the government then will buy the machines or the refrigerator or the microwave, whatever is needed. And it allows blind people then to have a job and to then service these, and replenish the machines or whatever. And he said the whole point of it was so that blind people wouldn't just sit around and collect Social Security and not be contributing to society. And I went,
Wow.
That right there is absolutely phenomenal. How do I become a part of this? Because what a great, it's a
they
benefit
do
for
that
everyone.
in prisons too, and jails.
Right, because it's a government. There were some that was a majority of their business. So it's so interesting that the government can provide programs like that. Just totally makes sense. Let's not have this population, this group of our population who maybe have limited skills due to their disability, just sitting at home, collecting Social Security. Let's give them something to be proud of. And he goes, "This is so great." He goes, "Because I try to employ then blind people. It gives me a sense of purpose. It gives me, I have a business degree. I have, the whole thing was just phenomenal." And I went, that's
that was
that's
created
government working.
in 1936.
1936, the Randolph-Shepherd Act.
And it's still in place.
Yeah.
And Doge is not
Yep.
cutting it.
I asked him that. I said, "Are you worried that Doge might come after you?" And he said, "Nah, not worried about it." I go, "Okay, I hope so." I hope not either. So, government doing good things.
In 1936.
Well, and still today. Developed it in 36 with a lot of other social programs. Great. Let's keep that kind of stuff going.
I agree with you, Jolene. I honestly think we need to create a different party. Because, we disagree on a lot of things, but we also do agree on a lot of things.
Okay, so I think, though, I would think that most people would, you're going to get either end of the spectrum in both of our parties who are going to stomp their feet and say, no, no, no. But I would say, I would love to think that there's 70% of us that are right in the middle that go, yeah, I could get behind that. Or if if I don't get behind it, I will give you this if you give me that. People would be willing to compromise.
I think so. But I think we have to continually in the show highlight how different the narrative is.
So
Right? So
Yep.
No wonder people are not talking. No wonder our people are not coming together. I'd never heard about the mine. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that I say that you don't know what I'm talking about. There's a lot of
Totally.
stuff that you say that I don't know what you're talking about. And then, but whatever it is, it's like a super hot button to piss the other person off.
Yeah.
Even the way I might get the information, or the way you might get the information, is the language that's used, the tactics that are used. It's to piss ourselves off and to be mad at the other person.
Yep. Yeah. To divide us, not to bring us together.
Yeah.
Do you feel better about this conversation? Or do you were disturbed in the middle of this conversation?
I was disturbed because it's hard to talk about wealth inequality. It's such a broad topic. It's hard when you've watched a snippet and I've watched the whole thing, which again is what we deal with in real life all the time. Mm-hmm. Right? Everybody has different sources of information, and I think that's also important to highlight. We're just two people trying to talk about these huge topics.
And I think you just brought up a good point too, because I didn't have, Brianna gave this to us last night. I didn't have time between last night and this afternoon to watch an hour of that. And so I got, the little piece that I had. I think that's very common. There are some people that can dive into stuff and spend time reading or watching or listening or podcasts or whatever. And then that there are other people that are, just trying to do their jobs or take care of their children or their elderly parents and don't have time to dig into these things. And so I think we just have to be so cognizant of meeting people where they are and being able to give somebody grace for, feeling passionate about something and really wanting to stand on the table and say, this is wrong, or going, I know you haven't had a chance to do this, so let me tell you what I know, and then let's talk about how we move forward.
Right. And I guess that helps if, our listener is thinking, I might get into this conversation, and instead of attacking your friend or someone that's opposite of you or doesn't think the same way, that how do they not know this? It's more about approaching, hey, maybe I can ask what they are thinking about, or without being a jerk about it, say, well, this is what I heard when I watched this piece, and maybe you want to look at it too, so we can talk about it.
Last night, Jeff, this just reminded me, Jeff and I were talking, my husband, and he was working with the Knights of Columbus on Monday, yesterday, doing a lunch. And that's a men's group at our church. He was talking with another member, and he said something about, they just don't get together with their kids. Only live 45 minutes up the road, but they don't get together anymore because they don't see eye to eye on politics.
Oh my gosh!
And he said, it makes me sad. I don't get to see my grandkids, and I go, gosh, I mean, like, what happened? Like, was it like one thing that like set him off? And he goes, yeah, it was abortion. And so he told me the story of how his daughter-in-law just absolutely can't have the conversation that she's pro-life and this guy is pro-choice, he's pro-life and she's pro-choice, and that she got really upset, and that was kind of the breaking point. And I said, maybe did it occur to him that maybe she had an abortion when she was young? And I mean, what a horribly devastating feeling that would be, and you can't just talk about it without knowing the context. And I'm sure he was just telling her how he felt, but didn't think about maybe she's got some history with this, and it cuts deep and it cuts hard. And I don't know this. I don't know this person. So I don't, but I'm saying, if we take a look at some of these things and not just, this is right and this is wrong, but think, God, maybe this affects somebody differently than it does me. And for me just to spew what my opinion is or what my thoughts are and expect you to think that that's the way you should feel too.
Right.
That's never going to happen.
And even, it might not be as big as that. Hopefully
Yeah.
it wasn't for her. But even, it's really easy to get emotional and indignant about how you feel about something like that. And maybe he could too say, gently, well,
Yeah.
I'm curious, why do you feel that way? Or she
Yeah.
could say, other than knowing that he's Catholic, not all Catholics don't all think the same way. Like,
Yeah.
hey, father-in-law or father or whatever, how come you think that way? And that
Yeah.
they can talk and maybe, just even sort of just respect that they don't have the same agreement.
Yeah. Because like
And-
in the
and it
middle of this
doesn't- and-
conversation with you and you were visibly distressed about this
Yes.
conversation. And the thought occurred to me, I don't want my friend to be distressed. I don't want her to feel like this is an uncomfortable conversation, or that I didn't like seeing that you felt like that.
What I appreciate about these conversations and our friendship is that you, as my friend, have always created and continue through this podcast to create a space where I feel I can be completely myself. And I think that is rare, so that when I get frustrated or whatever feeling I have, I know that it's okay. And I know that if we have to sit in silence for a second and gather our thoughts, that it's okay. And that you don't love me less. You don't think of me badly. You're just letting me think through what I need to think through. And same for you. I mean, I don't want you to be upset. I don't want to piss you off. I don't want you to piss me off. But we're big girls. And we can handle
Yeah.
it. And we've been
Yeah.
through a lot together. And it's really an amazing thing. I think you walk through the world, I think, more confident than I do, maybe. I get way too concerned. I've talked to this before about what people think of me, and I don't like that. And I'm now embracing that I now love this about myself, and it is, I think it's actually a superpower of mine. But you also, I feel like, in these conversations, and as my friend, you encourage me to express my superpower.
That is so nice.
Yeah.
So there.
Do you have any other thoughts about this today?
I do not.
Okay.
Hell, I didn't have any thoughts to start with.
I know.
So
Do you have a would you rather?
Dang it.
Okay, get to it. I'm going to give you mine. Would you rather be royalty 1,000 years ago, or be an average person today?
I suppose an average person today, I kind of think that's who I am. It seems to be pretty easy. Oh, God, no, I would not want to have lived 1,000 years ago. My gosh, that just seems so hard.
So what would that have been? 1,025. I'm assuming you wouldn't live very long. But you'd be royal. You'd be like Trumpy Trumpster.
Yeah,
With
I don't
his
think,
gold.
and I was going to say, you want to talk about wealth inequality.
No kidding. That's why I chose this one today.
Would you rather fly on a plane that was made
Oh,
by someone in Qatar,
Okay.
or ride on a ferry that's being piloted by a blind man? But he has a helper.
That is so dumb. And what's amazing is you just thought of it.
Yeah.
Listen, I have a lot of confidence in the blind man in the ferry with the helper, but I think that a Qatar plane has got to be so luxurious. I want to see inside that plane.
I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not going with you.
Oh, man. I'm going to prove you wrong. I'm going to go on that Qatar plane and have an amazing time with my Qatarian friends. We're going to have a great time hanging out.
Okay,
in
send
our
me pictures
luxurious
because I'm
plane.
gonna be on that
That ferry with the blind man
ferry.
and his helper.
Yep.
I love a
And
ferry.
We're just gonna go.
I love a ferry.
If you've stuck with us this long, thank you. We love you.
Thank you. We love you. And I love you, my friend. And I'll see you in a second.
Okay. Bye-bye.
We've Got to Talk is produced across the world by the wildly talented, creative, and hilarious team at Bambi Media. Our theme song is Jump Jive Swing by Space Train Unlimited. Thank you so much for listening, and join us every week for another episode of We've Got to Talk.